recording now. Podcast 1313. I'm here with my friend Spark, who's a huge fan of Disney and everything that it produces.
Hey, you're real funny, buddy. Hardy, hard, hard. Just having a trouble tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I have to be accurate to the people listening about where your interests lie. You are a huge fan of Disney, especially a fan of what they've done with Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you're having all this misinformation. Very first thing we're recording, you're dropping bomb.
Okay, let's talk about your actual thoughts on just general experience and knowledge of Star Wars then.
Mm. All right. Well, obviously, I've been a fan of Star Wars for a very long
Actually,
time.
shut up. Did I say? Okay, I'm Dave. I can't remember if I said that. But go on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I am Spark, but yeah. well, cat's out today now. But yeah, I've been like a fan of like Star Wars in general since like the '90s on up since I was a kid, and like as I talked before, like I started reading like well obviously you had the movies right, and this is
Hmm.
when George Lucas kept releasing like the little stupid edits of like the movies. But now like the latest edit I think, which is kind of stupid to me, it was Return of the
McClunky.
Jedi. Well, he added like the no for Darth Vader. It's like no, it's like why would you add that? You know what I mean? When he throws the
Hmm.
Emperor down the energy shaft. But I had it on. I still have the cassettes, special editions. That's how old that stuff is. And obviously, reading the books like Galaxy of Fear and but like Trioculus and his little series, it was pretty good. Plus the toys and the games, like that was like when like Rogue Squadron 1 and 2 was pumping out.
Hmm.
Obviously, Shadow of the Empire came out during the N64. I played a hell of a lot of that. That was a good ass game. Um, remember when Rogue Squadron came out? I used to play that a lot. Then it kept getting better. Like it's bad. The third one was bad, in my opinion. But we'll probably get into that later. But yeah, I've been dabbling in Star Wars for quite a long time, longer than like most stuff I consume nowadays.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the George Lucas edit autism because the Disney Plus version of the movies they put up, they actually put up a version where he had like an edit he did years ago. You know about it. It's the one with Han Solo and Greedo sitting down, and they added in before
Yeah,
Greedo dies the McClunky.
yeah. Luckily, I also bought DVDs back in the day, like the Blu-rays. I think they're Blu-rays, but I can go between like the theater versions unedited and some of his edits, and that was before, like I said, he had like the last time they got their hands on it.
Hmm.
So it's like I don't know why they felt the need to go back and like edit that stuff. It's like it's kind of unneeded. But granted, like The Empire Strikes Back, they put like the guy who played like Ian,
Hmm.
right? The modern emperor in for Empire Strikes Back. So like that old weird dude that they had in there,
Yeah, it was
which
like
I
a
mean,
rubber mask or something, wasn't it?
it was something. Like it was just it looked weird. Like I remember as a kid, the emperor and how like he looked like some like the typical like evil '80s space wizard, right? But then Return of the Jedi, he looked completely different. I'm like, okay,
That's so weird to consider because, like, my image of the Emperor has always just been Ian McDiarmid, or however you say his name.
yeah,
But, like, people in
and
theaters saw that thing.
it's like I said, it reminds me of like those like '80s like cartoons or movies. You see like the evil like wizard dude because that's what it reminded me of. It's like all right, but yeah, like that's an edit I kind of like because it makes no sense keeping the original emperor in there because like everybody knows Ian as he played the emperor as the emperor. So
Mm. I wrote down in my notes here, in the general experience and knowledge of Star Wars section, what memorable moments that we have. And this could be like anything from books, games, comics, just anything that kind of comes to mind that you've consumed regarding Star Wars media.
anything like memorable.
Yeah, like anything, like any memorable moments, like in Dark Empire, when those two dark side dumb fucks pull up the fucking building.
Yes, yeah, I remember like reading that comic, and like, because I was ahead of you when I was reading it, and you were like, "Oh yeah, these guys look so intimidating, right?" And I'm like, "No, they're not intimidating," because it's like it's so stupid. they literally destroyed their own Star Destroyer by tractor beaming some long, like, you know, pointed building right in the Star Destroyer. It's like it's so stupid. Like how do you mess that up?
Yeah, for the people who haven't read Dark Empire, like the scene is literally like the Millennium Falcon is trying to escape Nar Shaddaa, I think the planet was, and like
Yeah,
these two dark side apprentices, whatever they are, working for the Emperor, they're on a Star Destroyer. They try to use a tractor beam to get the Millennium Falcon. Han does some type of maneuver that makes them miss and attach the tractor beam to a building and pull it into their ship, destroying and killing everyone.
like even I don't think they escaped either. Like it literally, like they crashed on Nar Shaddaa, and like Nar Shaddaa is like a big ass. It's kind of like Coruscant, but a little
Mm-hmm.
bit smaller. Still, like, a city that Star Destroyer crashed and killed a whole bunch of innocent other
Yeah,
people. So
all
like,
that presence you built up for those villains immediately flushed down the toilet when I saw that.
well, Dark Empire, like I said, that needs its own little thing for us to nitpick. So, oh my god,
Yeah, we're gonna be going through a lot of mainly obscure legend stuff, like not just novels, but comics and the D6 books later on down the line. That is gonna be a priority. Fucking Dark Empire.
yeah, yeah. Like the comics, like there's a lot of good comics out there for Star Wars, like
Mm-hmm.
Crimson Empire. Thank you. That reminded myself. Crimson Empire, the first edition, like because it comes in like three parts. I've had the first part. That has to be like one of the most, like, in my opinion, like one of my favorites, because like I read that when I was a little kid, and it still resonates with me. Kirk Canos, which is a guard in the comic. I'm not gonna, too many spoilers here, but like he kicks ass.
Mm-hmm. I think the first volume is the best out of the three. TBH.
Yeah, but then it gets weird with the Xanabar aliens. They do
The fucking cannibals.
nightmare fuel.
I love them.
Why do you like the Xanabar? Oh, it's like four things and like holy, why
Because they're
them?
just fucking creepy.
Yeah, it's really well. It doesn't like. We're probably gonna get into this more, but like a spoiler here, like the D6 books, the aliens. Jesus, there's a lot of freaky shit in those D6 books. Like back in the day, they had a lot of imagination compared to nowadays.
Yeah, they were on a different level back in the 80s, making shit. Well, that was before they even really nailed down the setting 100% for some of those books, so a lot of sci fi weirdness of the era creeped in.
Yeah, like I was telling you, I was like reading a few pages of the Han Solo adventures. Remember, they're like, well,
Mm.
like that remind me of some Star Trek shit. Like, prime the batteries. Like,
Yeah,
what is this?
yeah, I'm writing down notes of all the weird words I see in Star's End, which we're going to be doing a whole episode on. Because, like, I picked up a couple words that are just. Like, this is before they even named Chewie's gun a bowcaster, so they're calling it Chewbacca's bow. What is it? Chewbacca's crossbow weapon, they called it. Oh, I see. This is that far back.
Yeah. Well, like you were discussing with me, like when you're reading it, it's like this is before they actually like, nailed down that Star Wars esque aesthetic. So it's kind of like they're trying to take like a blend of, different like sci-fi like genres at that moment and trying to kind of
Mm-hmm.
make its own identity. Which thank God it kind of made its own. Star Wars made its kind of its own identity at that point, because like I said, I was reading it and I kind of had like it kind of felt like it was like Star Trek ish in a way. Which, the old Star Trek. I know this is a Star Wars plot, but like the old Star Treks aren't bad. Like, but like if I want to read Star Trek, I want to read Star Trek now. In a Star Wars novel.
I know Star Trek has like a lot of like its own separate EU, but it's like distinctly a separate timeline for all of the television productions. I wonder like how it compares, if they're good or not.
I've consumed a lot of like I've watched some of the OG Star Treks, but I like the Next Generation and obviously Voyager, and then Deep Space Nine. But
Mm.
then like JJ, everybody's favorite, right there got a hold of it, and now it's like its own little timeline. So like I kind of saw pay attention after that, because like it goes absolutely crazy. But then again, like I said, we're not. I don't want to talk too much about that, because like I said, we're supposed to be talking Star Wars, not Star Trek here. But yeah, it kind of diverts in its own little timeline there.
Yeah, I know that gets fucking confusing. Uh, I
Yeah.
have written down here what medium we mostly consume in Star Wars. I'd say for me, it's probably books. That's the most shit I just go through regarding Star Wars.
Hmm. There is a lot of like for me. I watch a lot of like the movies, like episode one, two, three, 4, 5, and 6. Rogue Squad, and like Rogue One here and there. I don't want to call it Rogue Squadron, but when I was a kid, I used to read, like I said, the Oculus, books. I forget what they're called. It's been quite a while, but Galaxy of Fear I've read most of. And comics, it's weird because when I was a little kid, I used to consume like the books like you were, but I didn't have access to a lot of the media, so I didn't really like read a lot of the Star Wars. But I literally reread it like the Troglodyte stuff and Galaxy of Fear like at least 10, 20
When you're a
times
kid,
when I
you
was
can
a kid.
just you can just consume and reread or replay stuff so many times without getting bored.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like with like Rogue Squadron, like I consumed a lot of the games too, right? And like with the first Rogue Squadron, like I played it over and over again. But like those games, they were made with love because it's like not only after you beat the game, there's other stuff to unlock, and like different challenges to do. It's not like like nowadays, like there's not that many Star Wars games. I guess like Fallen Order if you like that, but that doesn't seem to be my cup of tea. Like I would like another like Jedi Outcast esque, game because that was really fun.
Well, like it's not exclusive to EA now, which thank God, but still, it's like
God, yeah,
who else can you really hand it off to? I mean, Ubisoft is doing something that's just EA light.
yeah, and it's like, well, yeah, like well, it's like most of the game companies nowadays. Like, like recently, like I did buy Cyberpunk 2077, and like that was my last $60 purchase, but like it's kind of disappointing to me at least because like there's a lot of stuff obviously they did cut out and it was rushed and did have bugs. I mean, I beat it and I had like 90 something hours on it. Like I'm not saying like it's a horrible game at all, but it's not kind of what they promised in a way. Like I thought there was gonna be a lot more interactivity in that game, but it's like you can't trust a lot of these game companies now. I mean, I would like to see some indie companies, some small studios that still have like that love for like gaming and stuff, instead of like these really large faceless corporations that all they do is just want to put microtransactions and
Mm,
you know um, season passes, like that sort of bullshit. It's like when I want to buy a game, I want to have it like complete and not have shit cut out of it because you want to make a quick buck. I'll pay money for the expansions, right? If it's a good expansion, I'll pay that $30 if it brings me a good, amount of fucking gameplay. But like, it just like I said, like the Ubisoft stuff, I'm not looking forward to it because they're just going to nickel and dime you.
mm. I keep hearing rumors too about a KOTOR remake being done by Aspyr Media or something that I guess like ported Star Wars mobile games before.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well then. That doesn't bode well.
No.
Oh my god. Oh no 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 no
Yeah, well,
no no no
if
no
it's
no.
true, if it's true, it's on the way. So,
Yeah, our mutual friend. We hope definitely buy that.
yeah, well, we know a lot of quote unquote Star Wars fans since 2014, as we call them.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say that. I make it sounds like we sniff each other's own farts, but it's like
We
there's
don't do
there's
that.
quite a difference. No, okay, that's fucking gross. But like there's a different like fan. Like you can tell like
Yeah,
between the people who are just like brand new into the fandom and others that have been with it for quite a long time. But like because like I guess if you want to defend Disney, go ahead. But like, I'm not a big fan of Disney Star Wars. To be honest with you.
and like around like 2016, the Rogue One Rebels season 2 era. That's when I was like more willing to give new canon a chance. I'm just gonna start transitioning in my next question here, which is about how we feel generally about new canon, which it's very clear to us, but to the audience, we both don't like it. We absolutely hate it.
Yeah, yeah. Just, it's wasted potential.
Oh
Like,
yes.
like I've discussed before, in the Force Awakens, they should have had Han, Leia, Chew, like all the OG when they're still there, able to act because Carrie Fisher's gone. You can't have her back. You know, like Lando's he's getting old. He's really old. They should have had everybody have like a send off and kind of pass a torch to like the new group of like heroes.
Yeah, that's the
And
thing. There was like no torch passing.
it's like, oh, I'm gonna kill Han Solo, so I'm edgy. I'm Kylo Ren. You know, I mean, Adam Driver did a really good job playing Kylo. Like his acting's pretty good, but like his character just sucks. It's just
They
stupid.
just kept fucking
You
around
know.
with his character. Like they were building up that he might turn to the light in the second movie, then he just goes full stop. No, I'm evil. But then they just have him become a good guy in the last one anyway,
Oh my god.
and then have the
And
most.
Finn, remember Finn was supposed to be some prominent,
Yeah,
like he had to be the
that's
comic,
that's the worst.
comedic sidekick.
He's the worst example of the wasted potential of the trilogy. Honestly,
Yeah. Like I thought he was going to play a bigger role, but it turns out he's just some side character
and
of
his
the good
main
guy.
nemesis is also a side character.
Yeah, like the cat was it was Phasma, right? Yeah, with the chrome armor. I thought she was going to have a little bit bigger presence in the
Dude,
movies. I was kind of disappointed they didn't,
okay,
go
back
too
back in
far for it.
like the 2016 era before or 2017 before Last Jedi came out, and I saw what it fucking was. I listened to an audiobook of the Phasma novel before the new movie, thinking it was going to be relevant for the upcoming movie, and it
Yeah,
wasn't.
turned out, yeah, turned out to be no. I mean, I did like her armor though, like the chrome
Yeah,
armor. I mean, it looked cool. Like we let me discuss this out loud. Like we discussed like the episode one of the Naboo
hmm,
fighters and stuff. They had that cool like
yeah, it was
chrome
made
like
out of
shine.
yeah, they called it chromium.
Yeah, and episode two when Padme her little thing her little shuttle had that on
Hmm.
it. I mean, I think that looks pretty neat in a way.
Yeah, I always liked the look of that.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Did you ever play the it was for N64. There was a game that just let you play as like a Naboo pilot, and like you had to fight against against the Trade Federation, and it also had some land elements as well. It was pretty neat.
No, that's before my time. The N64. I'm too much of a zoomer.
Shit, dude, you probably can like emulate that shit nowadays. I mean,
Most
that's the
likely.
beauty of it. But this just depends.
Yeah. Uh, do you have a particularly favorite era, Mr. Spark?
Well, like the New Republic era, the Rise of the Empire, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I like the Rebellion era because like that's what I grew up in, and I liked after the Rebellion also when that stuff was going on. Because to me, it's interesting because I like the aspect of like rebels fighting against some big bad empire, and I
Mm.
also like I'm a big I do love the empire too because I like the aesthetic and you know the way they operate. I mean, they're pretty neat. There's a lot of wrong with it, right? Like the 10 billion variants of stormtroopers, but you know, there's some cool aspects of it. But like, and I also like the how the empire kind of collapsed upon itself in the EU instead of like in the new like the
Just
Disney
1 year
canon. It's like, oh
later, they all just fall apart.
yeah, and like this is an empire that spanned across most of the galaxy, and it's supposed to be all these like numbers of worlds and a big like huge standing army. It's like it's not going to collapse that fast, like it's going to splinter probably, but it's not going to like one battle isn't going to like push them to like unknown space. But like this is
Mm.
like that's like a logistics nightmare. Like all those star destroyers, all of those people,
Well,
like
I
no.
remember in Aftermath, fucking Chuck Wendig's shitty ass trilogy. He was like, he was contriving reasons for like star destroyers to just be destroyed or just go missing or accidentally jump into stars and shit. It's like really,
There's a lot to say about old Wendig.
yeah, they
You
fired
know,
his ass.
I wonder why.
Ah, fucking
Jesus.
Wendig. He almost came to my state here for a book festival. I remember me telling you about that.
We almost went there to meet him because then they get canceled by the
Yeah,
Corona.
yes, which is unfortunate.
You should have fucking met his ass, asking what the hell he was doing with his books. What was the one thing you tell me? It was like a ziggity zoobity, the coming for
Yeah,
the booty
yeah.
pipe fighter or whatnot.
There's a scene where there's a TIE fighter chase, and he describes the TIE fighter is moving herkily jerkily.
How does it move? What the fuck's Hercules jerking? Like,
He
is it going like
also
it's pushing back and forth? Is
he also
zigzagging?
says earlier in the scene that TIE fighters don't have ejection seats, but they have ejection seats in that scene because the character uses it to survive. But TIEs don't have ejection seats.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but Tide Pods like they're able to survive like in the vacuum of space for like a little bit.
Yeah, they
If
have
I'm
this
correct.
suit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So like, why wouldn't they? Well, I mean, well, the problem is with ties, they're kind of
Well, they don't have shields, so I don't imagine they'd
yeah.
have ejection seats either.
Well, they are flimsy as shit. Well, that's not the point. The point is like a regular ass Tie fighter, if you get shot and like blow up in space, you're probably gonna die because it's not really like built you know really sturdily. It's not,
No.
you know what I mean. It's not like the Tie Defenders or like the other advanced Tie variants. The basic bitch Tie is supposed to be like a cheap manufactured like fighter for the Empire.
Yes. What would you say is more obnoxious, being an Empire fan that you are? Someone who, like a hardcore Imperial fan who thinks the Empire did nothing wrong, or a hardcore Mando fan?
That's fucking hard. Jesus. Well, okay. I'm gonna say this. Both are bad. I don't agree with both because the Empire did a lot of shit wrong. Like
What do
Mando
they really
fan,
do wrong? I mean, really?
really? Okay, well, building two Death Stars was fucking complete retardation. Like, there's that. Um, God, what else they did? There's like their secret weapons department. They just built a lot of like useless dumb shit.
Slavery.
Slavery, like the Wookiee slaver shit, and it's kind of stupid. I mean, you could just build droids.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense, right? You got a Kashyyyk, and you're going to enslave like an entire species that's like 8 foot or above that could literally rip your arms off, right? And enslave them to work on like the Death Star and other projects. I feel more safer mass producing because they took over the Trade Federation shit, right? So why can't you just produce worker droids? It'd be more safer and effective, right? You don't have to feed droids. You don't have to, watch over droids. You could just have them build your shit. But why Wookiees?
Yeah. So Star Wars is kind of that type of setting where there's just a lot of shit they do for the sake of it looking cool, quote unquote, or not even looking cool, just not making sense in general.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like I can understand you have to subjugate the Wookiees, right? But I would not want to be in charge of overlooking them because they could just like literally rip off your head.
Yeah.
Like hell no.
Uh, Before I forget, because I asked you about what your favorite era was, mine, I'm kind of two minds about it, because I really like that period immediately after the end of the Clone Wars, the Dark Times era, where the
Ah,
early
okay, yeah,
Empire is spreading around. There's still some Jedi trying to run, separatist holdouts, all that. It's a really good moment of like drama, and I don't think it gets much love outside of the comic, really. Uh,
yeah. There's not a lot of tea in that area. Funny enough, like there's some, but not too much.
yeah, but I like that. But I really like the post Endor era, where you have the Thrawn trilogy, the just Luke building his Jedi and all that. That's a really good one for story potential too.
Yeah, because I think when by the time Thrawn got on the scene, the Empire like got pushed back, and they have the Civil War too. I think.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
was Thrawn trilogy before or after Dark Empire in the timeline? Uh,
I think it was after Dark Empire.
yes, because don't we see the twins in Dark Empire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, they were just born. Yeah. No, no, no. The twins were not born in Dark Empire. The twins were born during Thrawn's trilogy because Thrawn tried to kidnap the twins because of Cyberhoth.
but Anakin, he was a baby in Dark Empire, and he's the youngest of the kids.
I don't think they were born because remember Palpatine was like, "I can go into your womb, Leia,"
Yeah, because
was
she
that
was
going to be
pregnant with
covered?
Anakin, who's the youngest.
Yeah. So I think
Or maybe they just didn't show them for some reason in Dark Empire. Because I know there was some beef with Zahn and the dude who was making Dark Empire at the time, where they kind of wanted each of their works to take precedent and I guess define the coming era. And thankfully, Zahn won.
thankfully, because that comic was an acid dream. I kind of want to figure that out now.
Uh,
Like
pull that shit up. I'll
yeah,
just
hold on. Let
ramble
me.
about something while you pull that shit up.
Yeah, go ahead and ramble.
Okay, but I said earlier I really like the post Endor era, but I think that comes more of the fact of like the potential of the stories you see in there, like Luke building his Jedi, but the execution it really varies within that time period because Kevin J. Anderson was put in charge of the Jedi Academy trilogy, and if anyone knows anything about Kevin J. Anderson, it's that most of his novels suck ass in Star Wars. He's the character who created, or he's the author who created Dala, who's the notoriously incompetent Imperial Admiral. He also just had a lot of weirdness in his Academy trilogy. Like, the New Republic sent a diplomat to Kessel to bring them into the New Republic, even though Kessel is like a spice. It's like an illicit, like, spice prison colony. So,
I was
for
going to
some.
say the Empire used it as a prison colony, but I think it was. I think the Huts took over that shit.
Yeah, like some criminal element took it over, but for some reason they sent Han Solo and Chewie there to negotiate bringing them into the New Republic. So yeah, you can tell from the caliber of his writing what that entails. But I don't know. There's a lot of charm to the post Endor era, seeing Thrawn and the kids growing up. That's another element I like too, seeing them grow and have their own adventures. But I don't know, like a lot of the majority of it, I just don't vibe with. Jedi Academy trilogy, Corellian trilogy, I couldn't even read because I was just bored out of my mind from the first book. Black Fleet Crisis. Oh my god, I hate that trilogy. Like if it wasn't, see, I kind of wish because that kind of falls under the radar of semi-obscure Black Fleet Crisis trilogy. Like I love to just rant on it for the novelty of it, since not many people know about it. But I don't know if you'd be willing to read through 3 books of that. I think I've ranted before about it. It's like it has this emphasis on like military sci-fi more than the other Star Wars books. It's where we get stuff like the K-wing and all the new class ships that literally never get used outside of that trilogy, like the Nebula class, some other stuff I forget. I don't know that book. That's the book where there's a whole Lando subplot that has nothing to do with the main book, the main story. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to do some research on which one came before. I think it was. So they don't really give it like concrete, like timeline.
yeah, it's kind of fuzzy with Dark Empire.
I think Dark Empire was before Thrawn came back, because I think Thrawn was still in the unknown regions.
That sounds right. Yes. Are we sure?
Because I'm looking.
Are we sure we didn't see the twins at Dark Empire at some point, just like for a panel or something?
Okay, yeah, okay. Let me do some more, because I think I don't think they were born during Dark Empire. To be honest with
No,
you.
they weren't born in Dark Empire, but they can't. Dark Empire must be after Thrawn trilogy because it wouldn't make any sense. See, now you got me curious about this.
Okay, in Dark Empire, right? The twins were still like they weren't born yet, right? That's why Palpatine was like, I can go on, blah blah blah
No,
blah.
no, Palpatine. They had to have been born because Palpatine was trying to get in Anakin, who's their youngest brother.
Yeah,
She was
but
still pregnant.
in the Thrawn trilogy, they were born, and they were like they weren't kids. I mean, they weren't babies. They were like kind of a little older.
No,
I think.
In the Thrawn trilogy, they were born in the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah, they were born. Yeah, in the Thrawn trilogy, they were like how many years old were they? I don't think
They were literally born.
they were literally born. Okay.
Yeah, they were newborns in the Thrawn trilogy, which means Thrawn
Mm.
trilogy has to come. Oh, why am I having a brain blast over this shit? It has to be Dark Empire comes after Thrawn, because Anakin is born in that, and he's their youngest sibling.
Let's see. Now I'm gonna have to find a timeline. All right, let's see what we got here.
Uh, what else can I ramble on while you do this? Hmm, I mostly talked about my era stuff. I guess. Yeah, I mean, we're.
All right, I think I got some.
What do I say?
The Thrawn trilogy takes place, it says right here, in 9 ABY. So let's see when Dark Empire takes place.
Yeah, 9 ABY would be 5 years after Endor, and how far after is Dark Empire?
Let's see. Let's look.
Because it literally won't make any other sense unless Dark Empire is after Thrawn. I think it's only a year after, right? 10 ABY.
I'm trying to look, but it doesn't exactly. In this timeline, of course, they didn't put it on here. But I'm
Just
trying to
just
look.
search up Operation Shadowhand because that's what the Dark Empire thing is called. That was Palpatine's secret plan to return and attack. Yeah, it kind of does seem funny though that Dark Empire takes place after Thrawn.
Okay. It started at 10 ABY and it ended at 11 ABY.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. I was just about to say like it's funny that Dark Empire is after the Thrawn trilogy because the Emperor comes back legit, but we don't see Mara at all in the Dark Empire, and you think she'd be interested in that, so she had a whole thing about him in the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make no fucking sense to my ass. Like, because I always thought it was like after the Emperor came back, but apparently it was vice versa. It was Thrawn, then it was the Emperor
Yeah,
coming back.
you're gonna get tripped up later on too. Like when the further we go on with the material, because there's a lot of books that come out, like the X-wing novels, for example. Most of those are before Thrawn, but then some of them take place after the Thrawn trilogy. But those books themselves came out after the Thrawn trilogy was written, so it gets really twisty as we go on. Like Zinj appearing in the X-wing novels and getting defeated in Courtship of Princess Leia.
Yeah, yeah, what a fuckery.
Yep. All right, Spark, are you ready to reveal how little you know of Star Wars? Because I'm about to quiz you.
Oh yeah, let's. I really don't want to take a quiz. Fuck it. Let's do it.
All right, so I'm gonna do one, then you do one. Okay. So, Spark, what title was Coruscant typically referred to as within the Imperial military?
Ah!
Do you want me to post the question? I'll post it so you can just have it in front of you. This is one of them where you don't really need to overthink it.
What title was going to be? Uh, I guess Coruscant. I don't know. The core. I mean, I knew it was in the core sector, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't. Core world, core capital.
It's along those lines.
Give me a hint here.
It's it sounds more like a title than a name. You were on the along the right lines there, because Coruscant as a name didn't exist until the Thrawn trilogy.
Okay, is it the core capital?
Nope.
Because I know. Okay, it's in the core sector. Fuck.
Ah, look at this man. He's not even a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah, I fucking give up. I don't know because I know what sector it's in. I just don't know what they named it.
Yeah, Coruscant, before it got named Coruscant, was referred to as the Imperial Center.
That makes a lot more fucking
Yeah,
sense. Okay, yeah,
it's a very forgettable
okay,
name.
yeah. That's what I mean. Because I knew like Coruscant has its own defense fleet, which is part of the core sector fleet, which is actually right mouthed here because they actually had a huge ass fleet protecting Coruscant during all that. Like when the Empire was like at its height of power. Because I know they had dreadnoughts and shit in that the core sector fleet, but
Hmm.
yeah, I didn't know what they called it.
All right, now it's your
Oh,
turn to
pretty good
torture
question.
me. Thank you, thank you.
All right, this is actually pretty easy compared to that.
Well, I thought that one would be easy too.
Who is the lead character in the video game Shadows of the Empire?
I haven't played it, but I'm pretty sure the answer to this is Dash Rendar, right?
That is correct.
Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Name which planet held an Imperial Ubictorate station. Y'all right there, Spark?
Coruscant one.
No. Coruscant did
This.
not have an Imperial Ubictorate station. Biss,
This.
good guess, but no. Biss did not have an Imperial Ubictorate station. There's only one planet that was ever identified to have one.
Cardia.
What'd you say?
Cardia.
Karita? No, that had an Imperial Training Academy.
That had the stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Um. Station. Okay. Holy shit. I don't know how the fuck I would know this, Dave.
You were just reading the Imperial source book the other day.
Yes, but I didn't read the planet had.
Why didn't you take
That
notes
was
for the
info.
quiz?
Because you didn't give me you said Imperial. That's like an entire like huge ass shit. Like how many branches of the Stormtrooper Corps is there? That sort of thing. Like, God. I don't know. This is one I really do not know. You have to tell me this one.
The answer to which planet held an Imperial Ubictorate station was Yaga Minor.
Okay, I'm familiar with that. That was in the
The Hand of Thrawn
outer.
trilogy.
Okay, yeah, that was in the Outer Rim, was it not? Yes.
I forget. It probably was in the Outer Rim. Let me look it up. Yaga Minor. It was, yes, it was in the Outer Rim.
Yeah, because I'm familiar with that from Empire War. Because Thrawn's Revenge, you have to start out there.
Hmm. Funny enough, I think they
Like,
know.
and
I think they note in Thrawn's Revenge, if you zoom in on the planet, that it has an Imperial Ubictorate station.
yeah, I don't really pay attention when you're playing that game. You don't really,
No,
you really
you
have to
just
like defend,
you zone out and get pissed off when the AI pulls some shit.
which it does on a regular basis.
Yes.
Shit. Well, that's a good question. You're making me feel like I'm fans of 2014, but all right, that's time for my turn for my piss poor question. All right, you ready?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. What's the name of the species that got the Death Star plans? And they also mentioned it in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, I got that one. It's the Honorable Boffins.
There you go. All right,
See, I was about to get tripped up because I thought you were going to say who got the Death Star plans for the first Death Star, and that was like 8 million fucking people.
No, keep it basic.
All right. Funny enough, this next question is about the Death Star too. In Star Wars Legends, who was the designer of the Death Star?
Oh my god, I see his face. He had some weird ass name. Shit. I know this because the Emperor, after the first Death Star blew up, he literally tortured him, brought him back to life, tortured him again, and kept doing it over and over again.
I won't blame you if you don't remember it because you obviously know who the guy is. You just don't get the name.
Yeah, I don't. His name is so fucking weird, but like I knew, I see his picture because it's normally in black and white, but he got tortured like really bad by the Emperor because he was pissed off. Yeah, I don't know his name. I know who he is though. Like, I can point him out, but
His name is Bevel Lemelisk. Yeah, you knew who he was, just not the fucking name.
Yeah. Trust me, fucking yeah. That's like one of those names where it's kind of like you can picture the guy, but you can't. His name is just so weird. Unless you like all the fucking time. Okay, ready for my question?
Yes.
What was the name of the Faline crime boss that was one of the leaders of the Black Suns?
I know this guy. That's Prince Shizor. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how you pronounce it, correct.
I haven't played or Shadows of the Empire, and I got this.
Well, he was also in some other media. But yeah, he also played. He also had a hot as shit like android.
Yeah, I know about that too.
H pop stands for hot piece of puss, by the way.
You're gonna have to translate all of our inside jokes.
Yes, I'm gonna have to translate. People know decipher our meanings.
All right. Which Imperial admiral was in charge of the protection of the Maw installation?
Isn't that Dala?
That is correct. What's her first name?
I don't know what that dumb bitch's name is.
Yeah, it's Natasi Dala. Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, she literally gets mounted by Bothan like at old age, like,
I know.
and she,
I don't even know where that happens, and that's probably Fate of the Jedi.
yeah, and on top of that, she loses an entire Super Star Destroyer. So there's that.
She
I
loses
mean,
more than just a Super Star Destroyer. She loses like all of her Star Destroyers in the Jedi Academy trilogy by the wonderful Kevin J. Anderson, and
yeah. Go ahead.
she has that stupid plan in that series too, where she wants to like ram a Star Destroyer into Coruscant.
That's what I mean. I just know her as Dala, and that's it.
Yes,
Dahlia, who
like a joke
red
villain.
hair. She also slept with. For this is for people who don't know. She also banged Tarkin. His old musty ass. So
That just reeks of self-insert to me for the authors. The old white dudes writing it.
may fly. I wasn't ready. Oh,
All right, it's your turn to torture me.
what is the name of the fleet that Darth Vader commanded during the movie Empire Strikes Back?
Fuck. The name of the fleet. I know the name of his Star Destroyer was Devastator, but the fleet.
Under,
Okay.
under the command of Darth Vader.
The name of the fleet. Damn. Okay. It's not Vader's Fist, is it?
No, that's the 501st.
Ah, I thought so. Damn. I don't know this.
Oh, you want me to tell you the name?
Yeah.
Death Squadron.
Death Squadron? Fuck, I knew that name, but I didn't think that was the name of the fleet.
Yeah, that was the name of the fleet that Darth Vader put together when he was hunting down the rebels. Was Death Squadron. They had his Super Star Destroyer as the capital, and he had the various other ships. Like the sole purpose was literally hunt down rebels and blow them up.
Ah, well, now I can wear the dunce cap, a fan since 2014.
All right, let's do your last question.
See, now I wish I made this last one harder. How many troopers are required to man an E-Web?
That's easy too. You need the gunner, and you need some guy to activate and monitor the energy cell.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Yeah, and the later ones you needed like 3 because of they had shield generators, deflector shields. All right, are you ready for your last question?
Yes.
All right. Who is the best Imperial warlord, and why is it Zinj?
Why is it Zinj? Well, he has such a finely combed mustache, a attractively rotund stomach, and he has Dathomir within his empire, which if you know anything about Dathomir, you know.
Mm-hmm. And he also had an SSD as well.
Yes, he had an SSD called Iron Fist.
Did a lot of fisting.
Okay, I'm out of questions. You did yours. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
um, I mean, I guess if you have nothing else, we talk about games, and whatnot. I mean, there's always that subject.
Yeah, what's going on in the realm of games for you?
Hmm. Well, Star Wars games, particularly.
Yeah, I haven't been playing any Star
Well,
Wars games lately.
funny enough, I have Knights of the Republic 2. I haven't bought it, but I haven't really got around to it because I play that game a lot. And I haven't really got around to that. That game's awesome. Let's talk about that. The Knights of the Republic series, like 1 and 2. Obviously, they have the MMO, but like I've also played that, and I was also kind of disappointed with that. That well, because BioWare,
Mm-hmm.
their shitty ass free to play model, but yeah, the contrast between Knights of the Republic 1 and 2, it's like night and day. Like I like 2 because of the atmosphere and the characters, minus Cray who complained about everything he did.
Influence lost.
Exile, why didn't you push him off the cliff? Exile, why did you save him? Give me a break, Cray. Come on, man.
Exile, why aren't you wearing a mask?
Yeah, she probably would be one of those fucking like random ass people that come up to you like, "Why don't you wearing a mask?"
She gonna be holding a smartphone too.
Probably.
Yeah, funny enough, I've never beaten KOTOR 2. Not out of lack of trying, because the game literally glitched on me after I defeated Nihilus on the Ravager, and I could just literally do nothing about it.
Yeah, like after the Ravager, you had to go to God, what's that planet?
What, Talos?
No, you didn't go to
It's
Taylor.
Malachor.
Malachor. Yeah, because they changed Malachor in Rebels. They named it more, not
No,
Morthal.
no, it's still Malachor.
Is it still Malachor?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
thinking of Korriban they changed. Well, that was in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I don't know why they changed Korriban either. Like he
Well,
was fine
it's
being
George
Korriban.
being George.
Oh, what are they? Morban is what they
Yes.
call it now. Shit, I still call it Korriban, so I know what it is. Korriban's actually kind of neat, but kind of scary in a way. Like scary in a sense that like these Force ghosts inhabiting like the tombs of like ancient Sith lords, they can literally just like either possess your dumbass or they can just literally melt your face and laugh about. Like on top of that, they have like the dark side infused creatures, living within like the tombs,
Yeah.
themselves. It's like you have to
Uh,
be crazy going in there.
I was really scared you're gonna quiz me on some goddamn dead Sith Lord shit, because I was really rusty on that.
No, I mean, no, I'm not gonna. I wasn't gonna question about that because, like I said, like it's supposed to be like haha questions. Now I'm trying to get one up on it type of questions because yeah, I could have been like who's the best ancient duelist.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's too much word, but
well, I definitely
or like
was trying to get one up on you to prove how superior I am.
well, congratulations, Star Wars. It's going places. Pat yourself on the back, buddy.
And those places are the sewer.
Well, we still got the EU, buddy.
Yeah,
That's
that's not going anywhere.
that's the good thing. The EU has so much shit. Like okay, like I'm gonna say this out loud now. The EU did have its fair share of complete cornball shit, right? But they also had a lot of good shit within, the EU that you can honestly, if you pick out like the corny shit that you think you shouldn't read, you don't have to read a lot of it. You can just read what you want, and you still have a lot more media than some of the new stuff now.
They aren't.
Especially like
I was just gonna say they
the
typically aren't restrained either with like pre-established events with a lot of their material too.
yeah. What I mean, the Disney stuff nowadays. They're trying to push what the New Republic on
The
with
High
people now.
Republic.
Yeah, not the New Republic, and yeah, the High Republic. That's such like a weird like time like to even put like books at, in my opinion. Like
Well,
nothing
it's
happens.
only 200 years before that every one thing looks completely different. Which like they have this weird aesthetic going on, which it wouldn't look too bad to steal for tabletop games, however. But it's only 200 years before the movies, so a lot of species live past that. So it's a little strange to place that so close to the timeline. And
Yeah,
their
and
main
then
villain, yeah, their main villain is just space Vikings. Which okay, cool, yeah.
they also introduced the whole like Jedi can bang, but they can't have relationships.
Well, honestly,
Which
I think that's how it should be, because I don't think there's anything
I mean,
wrong with banging and being a Jedi.
I mean, granted, like yeah, they're not exactly supposed to be like the stereotypical like nuns or like monks, but
Hmm.
like because obviously you can't really suppress basic biology here. Like you're gonna have to like you have the urge to bang unless you take like some sort of like weird chemical castration type shit that literally takes away like your urge. But that's kind of fucking cruel becoming a Jedi, in my opinion. But
Speaking about this, I'm gonna take a fucking detour to the new Jedi Order. During the Vong War, there's this character called Vergere that was a Jedi that lived with the Yuuzhan Vong for like 50 years or something. And there's later on she meets up with Luke, who has his own order at this point, and they have this really interesting discussion about Vergere, like proposing the idea of what's going to happen when his son Ben Skywalker is born, and she kind of like talks about the idea of like a Jedi dynasty and what negative effect that could have on the galaxy and what he would do about that, if anything. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting with the whole Jedi banging and whatnot.
yeah, Luke's Jedi Order was unique because like the old like this is before a lot of it changed because remember you weren't supposed to really have some sort of attractions, but they didn't really go in like the nitty gritty details about Jedi banging each other, which I guess like if you don't really like, but like the another side of the coin here is when you constantly like if you have one person you have a little fun with. Obviously, you're going to be attracted and have feelings towards said person, but it was like a one night stand at some planet, sure, which begins the debate of if you should do it or not because it leads to the dark side and blah blah blah. But like with Luke's order, like you could fall in love, which makes more a hell of a lot more sense instead of like increasing that temptation of like, oh, yeah, I can't fall in love, but like, I'm going to have to, but I have to break my vows and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it kind of releases kind of a pressure off someone. Like if I'm becoming a Jedi, I can still have the option of having a kid
Mm.
or, falling in love, but you're going to have to teach people like, if your significant other does die, because like for example, like if you're a Jedi, right, Dave, and like someone kills your wife, you're gonna be pissed off and want revenge, right? But you can't do that if you're Jedi because you fall down that dark path. So you kind of have to like teach the Jedi how to like in question to kind of like remember their training and calmness and shit. But like I guess there's a big debate you can talk about there and how it could be like a slippery slope down the dark side. But I mean, if it works, it works. But I don't think there should like the more you restrict someone and tell them they can't do it, they're gonna want to do it more, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So there, I mean, there's that.
that is true.
Indeed.
Um, is there anything else you want to go on a tangent about? Because I think I'm about good.
Yeah, I think about good. I think we pretty much covered some decent topics.
Yeah, so we're reading Han Solo at Star's End, and then that's what are going to be our next episode to talk about and rant and
Yes.
rave about all the weird early '70s shit they wrote in.
Yes.
All right. I don't know how long that'll be. Like what? A week from now? I don't think it'll take us that long to finish this.
It's not like 200 something pages. It shouldn't be that long.
Yep, that's when we'll come back.